Hello, and welcome to Dark Hearts with Stacey Lee. Please hit the like button if you like the video and subscribe to the channel if you want to support me. It helps a lot. You can also join my Patreon. We have a big goal there, and I'll talk about that at the end of the video. Well, we're back at it again with the cult stories, and this one is happening even as we speak. This cult kind of has two branches, but they're both run by a man named David E. Taylor, who calls himself Apostle. Just that one word, like Cher or Prince or Lucifer. Just Apostle. I am warning you right now, I am not going to be able to get through this episode without a lot of inappropriate laughter and jokes, because this has got to be, hands down, one of the most ridiculous, corniest, tackiest, overt examples of modern day snake oil salesmen that I have ever seen. This cult involves giant TV screens, it involves fancy dinners with 8-foot tall cakes, it involves a stage full of wheelchairs and crutches, it involves stealing money from people who do not have it, and it involves, for some reason, a lot, and I mean a lot, of falling down. This is the very current story of the cult known as JMMI, also called KOGGC, the story of David E. Taylor, Apostle. Put on your crash helmets and take a bathroom break now so you don't pee your pants laughing at this one. The things I'm going to show you when we come back from the intro. I'm your host, Stacey Lee. Hold my hand, it'll be okay. Let's begin.
Everlasting power, everlasting authority, everlasting glory. And I'm telling you, it is available for you.
I love warriors. They ask for a fight. They don't run from it. But if it's brought, they end it. That's a fire god on you, young lady.
There is somebody with a lump on your back. That's you. Bring her here, man. Fire! I rebuke cancers in Jesus' name.
Tremendous power.
It's not David E. Taylor. It's the Lord Jesus. It's the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. It is not David E. Taylor. It is the Lord of hosts. I don't have to touch you. It's not my touch. It's Jesus' touch.
I can't wait to get back in another miracle crusade. Masses of people in wheelchairs, on crutches and canes. I can't wait to grab those things and see Jesus heal them.
Airing live to over 3 billion homes on major television networks.
I've been in here now over 4 years seeking God, shedding his church so that I can obey his will when I come out. And we will see the greatest level of glory and power invade America and all the nations. And you're going to be a part of it.
When I pray for the sick, my heart beats just right.
Join David E. Taylor for the 2024 Global Online Virtual Arena Miracle Crusade, July 31st through August 4th. Expect your miracle today. Registration is free. Call 1-877-THE-GLORY. That's 877-843-4567. Visit KOGGC.org to register free. Text Crusade to 720-202-9147.
God anointed Jesus Christ of Nazareth with the Holy Ghost and with power, who went about doing good and healing all. My kingdom is coming to you.
I know I shouldn't laugh at other people's faith. What was that? Let's go back in time a little bit and talk about David E. Taylor. On the website, David's bio said that in 1989, at age 17, David was living a, quote, worldly and gangster lifestyle on the streets of Memphis when Jesus Christ first appeared to him in a dream during the Christmas season. This experience changed his life forever, just as Paul experienced a radical conversion when he met Jesus on the road to Damascus. David E. Taylor was also radically converted when Jesus appeared to him. Jesus appears to everyone but me. It really sometimes it feels like Jesus is appearing to everyone but me. David immediately left the gang life he was living and began preaching about the Lord. His initial appearance from Jesus led to a face-to-face relationship and ministry. Yes, you heard that right. He's claiming that he has face-to-face meetings with Jesus. David E. Taylor claims that he has regular face-to-face meetings with Jesus. And what... I gotta calm down. What else does he claim? He claims that he has performed miracles in over 190 countries. What are those miracles? He heals diseases. He cures people of cancer. He rebukes diabetes. He has used his power to cause entire drug rings to be dismantled. He has rescued people from sex trafficking. Oh Lord, where have we heard this? Are we gonna get a picture of David in his little panties too? He has healed the blind and caused them to see. He has brought hearing to deaf people. He has cured thousands and thousands of paraplegics that cannot walk. And he has brought the dead back to life. This is all on his website. Every single word, maybe not in those exact words, but those are the things he claims. Among those lies on the website is the claim that President Obama gave David E. Taylor the Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award. And when I heard that, I was like, what? Not that presidents haven't given out awards to con men and criminals. We see it all the time. But this guy is such an obvious fraud. So I was like, that sounds weird. So I went digging. David E. Taylor was not awarded the Lifetime Achievement Award by President Obama. He had someone write a letter on his behalf to the office of the president, nominating David Taylor for what is called a President's Volunteer Service Award. Anyone who has completed more than 4,000 hours of community service is eligible for this award. You pay $10 for this certificate, and then you have letters of support verifying that you've completed the 4,000 hours, and then you get your little certificate photocopied and you hang it on your wall. This man is just an out and out liar. I cannot get over these photos of him holding piles and piles of crutches on a stage with wheelchairs lined up. I find that so disgusting and offensive, to make people with real ailments believe they can be healed by this charlatan. I find this man to be vile. One Facebook post claims that David healed a barren woman who now has twins. Do you know how offensive that is to women who cannot conceive? It's foul. David E. Taylor starts writing books, and among them is this one, Face-to-Face Appearances from Jesus, in which Taylor details all of the times he has met with Jesus face-to-face. All throughout the 1990s and the early 2000s, David E. Taylor's following grew. Now, it's a bit confusing because not only does David E. Taylor, let's just call him what he calls himself from here on out because I'm tired of saying that, Apostle. We're just going to call him Apostle or Apostle Taylor. Not only does Apostle have JMMI, which stands for Joshua Media Ministries Incorporated, he has a church that he calls Kingdom Family Church Global, which he literally uses the letters KFC for that. For my foreign viewers, that's funny because here in America, KFC means Kentucky Fried Chicken. So it surprises me that he doesn't use like KFCG or something like that. And he also has Kingdom of God Global Church with the acronym KOGGC. So just be aware if you're looking him up or anything like that, there are multiple churches, multiple organizations that all fall under the ministry of Apostle. Now, I'm going to tell you before I get into the criticisms of this man and before I talk about how dangerous he is and all the harm he is doing. Before we talk about that, I'll let you know his defense for everything is that it's because he's black. Every single criticism levied against this man, he rejects and says people hate on him because he is black. Now, it is not my place as a white person to talk on the Black experience in America or anywhere else. I will tell you flat out, I am not racist, and whether you like this or not, I have attended Black Lives Matter events supporting friends of mine, and I've gone on my own. You know, if you've spent more than 5 minutes on this channel, that I've spent the last 3 years talking about all kinds of social media gurus and preachers and ministries and cults, and 90% of the time, the people I cover are white. So you can say what you want. I'm telling you, I'm not racist, and it's got nothing to do with it. There are bad people in every race, religion, culture, sect of society, gender. There are bad people in every group. And I think it's bullshit that he's trying to play the race card to cover up his actual crimes and the disgusting behavior that he's involved in. If I am going to share any opinion, it's that of a white person. When people of color pull the race card when they are legitimately doing something wrong, it makes white people side-eye everybody that ever says this happened to me because I'm Black. It does so much damage to the Black community. I can't speak on what it feels like to be Black, but I can tell you as a white person that knows mostly white people, they'll say, well, remember when this Black person did this and said it was because they were Black, and then it turned out that they were really guilty. It does so much harm. I just feel like lately here, I'm just getting myself into all kinds of trouble. I just am kind of tired of the, you can't say this, and you can't say this, and you can't say this. I consider myself a pretty progressive person, but I'm also pretty moderate. And we just don't pretend things aren't happening by not talking about them. This guy is a con man, and he's a shyster, and I don't care what race he belongs to. He's dangerous, and he's hurting people, and I'm going to talk about him. Now, I gave you a little taste of what one of Apostle's services looks like, but that was in the action-packed movie trailer form. So let's take a peek at a less produced segment. I couldn't find anything that's less like superhero vibes, but this is a little less produced. So you can see what he's actually telling people. Now you're gonna watch really closely, you guys, because Jesus appears on stage in this video. Have you ever wanted to see Jesus? Well, just watch this because you're gonna see Jesus.
Jesus working face to face with David E. Taylor by appearing on stage with him, captured live on photo.
The Lord said to me, I'm going to make another appearance in this building.
This is phenomenal.
There he is. The Lord just walked on the stage. I honor you, Lord. He just told me to get off the stage.
That's glory up there. This is holy. Cry out. Go after him. He's up there. Cry out.
A skeptic in the audience takes a picture. Jesus is captured live, standing on stage, exactly where David E. Taylor said.
So you wanted to see if somebody was up there?
Yes. I took out my cell phone and I snapped that photo with his arms stretched out wide.
You cannot miss your face-to-face visitation from Jesus. The Lord is going to meet with his people again. You cannot miss this.
If I told you that Jesus wanted to meet with you face-to-face like men and women met him in the Bible, would you want this amazing experience?
It was during the Christmas season. I was 17 years old when it first happened. Jesus appeared to me in a dream, and it changed my life forever. And he told me if I wrote this in a book, that he would appear to millions all over the world, and it's happening now.
I was born Muslim, and I read the book Face to Face. Jesus appeared to us.
Face-to-Face Appearances with Jesus by David E. Taylor changed my whole life. And I remember Jesus there. He came and he was wearing all white.
I was brought up as a Hindu, and as I began reading the book, I had my first encounter with the Lord.
Just like the Lord appeared to Solomon in a dream at night.
Look, I am not a person of faith. I was born and raised Mormon, and I left the church around age 38. I'm 53 now. I am agnostic. I'm not an atheist, but I have absolutely no issue with people who choose to go to church and people who choose to believe in things I do not believe in, so long as those beliefs do not hurt anyone else. If your church is homophobic, I don't agree with that, and I've got no problem telling you that. If your church is racist, I don't agree with that, and I've got no problem saying that. If your church is patriarchal in nature and does not treat or value women as equal, I have a problem with that. So I guess what I'm saying is I pretty much have a problem with all religions. But I don't have a problem with you, and I don't have a problem with your desire to be a person of faith. What I would ask of any faithful person is to look at what it is they are supporting, because here are some things that I know. You cannot donate money to the KKK and say that you are not supporting racism. You cannot give money to organizations that fight against queer people's rights to exist as the equal human beings that they are and say you are not supporting homophobia or queerphobia. You cannot donate your time to organizations that fight against what the Constitution or the laws of humanity provide, and that is equality for all people, and call yourself a patriot. Those are things I know. So if any of those statements make you angry, be angry at yourself. Don't be angry with me for saying true things. Be angry somewhere else because I have not done anything but state facts. I support your right to believe in Jesus, in Buddha, in Muhammad, in Elohim, in Odin, in Ganesha, in the flying spaghetti monster. I will fight for your right to believe in whatever you want to believe, but that will not stop me from speaking out against elements of any and every faith that hurt other human beings. And most religions hurt women, they hurt queer people, and a lot of religions also hurt children. If you do not agree with those statements, your eyes are not open to the truth and the facts, because I say confidently that there is proof. There is overwhelming proof that these groups are harmed by religion. That is not an opinion, that there is evidence for those statements. You can be as mad as you want about it, but I don't really think you can argue with me. There are definitely people that think they can argue with me, but I'm talking to you guys, not those people. So if I'm agnostic and I'm not a person of faith, why does it matter to me? If a group of people want to believe that this guy talks face to face with Jesus and that Jesus comes to the stage and appears in cell phone photos, why does that matter to me? Well, we've talked about that here before, and you guys, I think, are on the same page with me. Former members of KFC and KOGGC and JMMI have come forward with some very serious allegations. Let's talk about Chris Sorensen. Chris reports that in 2017 he was, quote, on fire for God. Chris packed up everything he owned in his car and drove from Minneapolis to outside of Detroit, where JMMI is headquartered in Michigan. Chris said, I wanted to be in ministry. That's what I wanted to do in life. I thought that was my calling. When Chris got to the ministry headquarters, he was excited. After about a week, he was getting very dismayed. He now calls the ministry a, quote, slave labor cult, which operates on an unholy trinity of intimidation, manipulation, and greed. Church members that are without financial means are put to work. They are sent onto the streets to solicit donations, to beg for money for 16 hours a day. Chris said he was physically abused and physically assaulted during his time with the church, and he said he was forced to go without sleep. Chris said that he was constantly berated to bring more money into the church. Everything is about money, bringing money into the church. Chris worked his way up through the ranks until he had access to the banking accounts. He saw millions and millions of dollars in the church accounts, and he also saw 2 sets of books. Now, any of you that run businesses, you know 2 sets of books is always a red flag. If you run a church or a charity, 2 sets of books, oh no. That's not 2 accounts. It's 2 different sets of accounting, 2 different sets of money transactions. One is fake, one is real. Chris said that he and others were given scripts for phone call solicitation, like cold calling the elderly to try and talk them out of money. He said that he sent out thousands of emails a day promising blessings and health cures to the elderly and the afflicted if they would just send some money to the ministry so God would bless them. And I find that to be the most vile, disgusting thing. I just truly detest these people taking advantage of people who are sick, and towards the end of their lives, it is despicable. Chris said that the people in the church worked every day. He said sometimes he'd get 1 day off a month. His day sometimes consisted of morning prayer and then sitting on Facebook from 8 a.m. to 11:30 p.m. copying and pasting messages to any user that had liked something on like Billy Graham's page or Joel Osteen's page. So they would go on the Facebook pages of other internet or, TV preachers, and then they would make lists of all the people who liked those pages and who liked those comments. That's how they got their leads. And this is why I stay off Facebook. I didn't used to, but I do now. People like this sit on Facebook and they go on other conmen's pages. Not that I follow any conmen, but they do this with retail products too. I've noticed if I've liked any sort of like a jewelry page or like a handbag page, then all of a sudden that's all I see. I mean, we all know this at this point, but I'm just saying, please be careful. Then these troll farms, they go to the person's profile and they target that person, telling them that their prophet has heard their name in a dream and that he has a very special message for them. It's diabolical. To find out someone is a person of faith by looking at another preacher's page, then to go to their own page to see that they're either elderly or they have health problems, and then to tell that person you're going to help them for money, there is just nothing more vile on earth. There's not. There might be things that are more evil, but not more vile. Chris also has stories of watching Apostle Taylor physically beat men that came to the church smelling like weed, or if he'd heard that they'd had sex outside of marriage, which is especially hilarious because this guy is literally a predator. We'll get to that in a moment. A gospel singer named Vicky Yohei, I hope I'm saying that right, has joined forces with Apostle's ex, a woman named Tabitha Taylor, to try and get the word out. Tabitha is David E. Taylor's ex-wife. Both of these women are claiming there is serious abuse going on inside the church. Both women have made very serious accusations against Apostle Taylor, claiming that he is a sexual predator. The women state that they know of more than 40 women that Apostle Taylor has had sexual relations with in the last several years, and that most of those women are married. The two accusers state that when things are going well in the relationships with Apostle and whatever woman he's courting, he lavishes the woman with gifts and expensive dinners. If the women try to leave the relationship or the church, Apostle Taylor threatens them with physical abuse, with curses like telling them God is going to give them cancer, and he also threatens them with revenge porn. Another member who does not want to be named said they donated $1 million to the church. When Tabitha Taylor divorced David E. Taylor, this person that had donated $1 million was subpoenaed, and he was forced to give a deposition of his assets. The flip side of that was then David E. Taylor was forced to be deposed and give a deposition of his assets. He has a $2.8 million house in St. Louis, 3 luxury vehicles, including a limousine, and an annual budget, and this was clear back in 2014, of $30,000 in clothing. Guess what his excuse is for having to spend so much on clothing? He sweats a lot. He sweats a lot for Jesus. Now, the gospel singer Vicky Yohei claims that Apostle David talked her into having a sexual relationship with him by telling her she was his, quote, spiritual daughter. Ew! That just makes it so much worse. Like, what? Your spiritual daughter and spiritual father having sex? Jail. Straight to jail. Lord, I hate these people. Vicky had a 16-month relationship with Apostle, and it ended in late 2020. Vicky says that Apostle has no respect for women, that he does not honor women, and that they are nothing but genitalia. She uses a different word to him. Vicky also says that during her relationship with Apostle, he bought her Louboutin shoes, a fur coat, a Jaguar sedan, and many more gifts, including straight cash. Vicky says that Apostle would say things to her like, God just told me to bless you with a car. Wow, maybe I need to get back into religion. Maybe I need to get really, really religious all of a sudden. I can use a new car. Vicky then said that when she told Apostle that their affair was over, she was not going to continue with it, things got so much worse. Now, you have to know, Vicky was a very staunch supporter and defender of Apostle. She'd even gone on video, defending him against some sexual abuse allegations. She was like really in his corner and on his team. And so when she left him, I guess it was a really big deal. Kind of sounds to me like she knew a lot of secrets about him. So what does Apostle Taylor do? He told Vicky she was going to get cancer. God was going to strike her down with cancer. Then he told her he was going to make sure everyone got the naked photos of her that she had sent to him during their relationship. We have actual laws on the books here about revenge porn. It's a crime. Also, the police have been called to JMMI headquarters more than 30 times. Sometimes the calls are for very small things like an angry former member that wants their donations back, but other times there have been very, very major calls, even a bomb threat. In May of 2017, a former member threatened to blow up the entire church. This person claimed they knew how to rig the furnace and the water heaters to cause an explosion. So the police went into the church headquarters with a bomb squad and with bomb-sniffing dogs, but Apostle Taylor wouldn't let them inside. Why do you think that is? That's because he knew there was no bomb inside. That's because he called in the threat himself or had one of his cronies do it, so he could claim to be persecuted. These people always want to claim that they're being persecuted. There's always some invisible force out to get them. The persecution always turns out to be things like, we won't let them overrun our schools, or our government with their religion, because there are laws against that. But that's persecution, according to them. Also in 2017, a JMMI member died very suddenly, and the coroner could never find a cause of death. This member had told others that he was very disillusioned with the church and he was planning on leaving, and then he ends up dead from some mysterious illness. Another man began telling members of the church that he was going to leave. He was not a believer anymore, and he'd actually had some run-ins with other members. What happened to that man? He vanished, and he has never been found. Apparently, this man even had access to some of the bookkeeping, and he knew some of the inner secrets of the church. On June 8th, 2018, a former JMMI member reported that she was assaulted at the church. The woman went inside to see her father and her sister, who were both fanatical members. But when this woman walked in, she was confronted with a large group of church defenders who told her that she was a bad influence, she had a bad attitude, and they told her she wasn't welcome at the church. And then they forcibly grabbed this woman, pushed her, shoved her, and dragged her out of the church. This should be fun if these people get a hold of this video like Teal Swan's people did. I don't talk about this because I'm not going to give it any time. I don't give a shit. Teal Swan's people, the stuff they have said to me, you guys, maybe I should make a video about all the things that have happened to me since I've started doing these cult videos, because it is wild. And here I am doing another one today, so you can see how much I care. You're not going to scare me. Police report that most of the calls they get to go to the church have to do with family members claiming that their loved one has been brainwashed and that they are being bled dry financially by Apostle. These family members will call the police and ask them to assist them in taking their relatives from the church headquarters. But people have free will, even when they don't, even when they're brainwashed. And there is very little that the police can do. In 2015, Apostle said he was going to buy the St. Louis Jamestown Mall and redevelop it into a religious complex with a hotel, a sports arena, office space, and a convention space. He said he had $10 million from Carlos Dansby, who was a former NFL player. And he also had $400 million in financing arranged for the project. Well, this was news to Carlos Dansby because he wasn't aware that he was donating $10 million to the cause. He had made no such pledge. Apostle Taylor was, again, full of shit, and the project never even broke ground. He then tried to sue St. Louis County, claiming it undermined his position to buy the property. I would say it was his lack of funds that was probably responsible for that, but what do I know? I am a godless heathen. In 2021, KOGGC bought an abandoned 10,000 square foot mansion in Wildwood, Missouri. Now, if you're like me and you watch those Urban Explorer videos, right now you're thinking, where have I heard about a Wildwood mansion before? It's that mansion that was owned by Nelly that all the abandoned YouTubers go to. Have you seen that one? It kind of sits out in the woods near St. Louis, and it's this huge mansion that is just now an absolute shithole. I mean, at one time, I'm sure it was very nice, but it's destroyed now. People have gone in and tagged it and broke and everything. But for some reason, Apostle has purchased the Nelly Mansion. I'm going to be really interested to see what comes of that because I have seen so many YouTubers go to that exact place. When Apostle purchased the Nelly Mansion, he also bought a house in Chesterfield with 5 bedrooms and 9 bathrooms. What was he buying these houses for exactly? Oh, drug and alcohol rehabilitation programs. He's buying them so he can help people get clean. Apostle makes a lot of claims about helping people to get clean. The problem is, there is no evidence to back up his claims. Just like with Tim Ballard saying he rescues people from sex trafficking, rescued who? Apostle claims he's saving people from drug and alcohol addiction, but there are no results. he cannot produce any sort of proof that he's helping anyone with addiction. Then in 2022, KOGGC spent $8.3 million to purchase an estate owned by Tampa Bay Buccaneers co-owner Darcy Glazier Kasowitz. But that wasn't for drug rehab. That's just for Apostle to live in, because of course it is. I will make this a short rant, I promise, but I just want to put this out there. If you are a 501c3 organization, that is a charity. Churches are all charitable organizations. You are not, by law, supposed to have any money in your bank accounts other than what it costs you to run your organization. This guy should not have $8 million to buy a house. The Mormon Church should not have $120 billion. They should not own malls. They should not own real estate. That is not what 501c3 organizations are for. And these churches, if they want to keep all the money, great. But you're going to start paying taxes like the rest of us. I told you, I'd keep it short. That's it. That's all I'm going to say. But as we all know, scams like this cannot continue forever. And by mid-2022, Apostle Taylor's house of cards was starting to crumble. A movie prop rental company sued KOGGC in September of 2022 for failing to pay $2 million to have this elaborate set constructed, the set that Apostle stands on to preach. Now, I'm going to get myself in trouble here, but $2 million what now? I could get you all of this furniture at a thrift store from the 80s, and I could sew them damn curtains for a couple $1,000. Where did $2 million go here? I'm sure lighting and building things, I get it, but damn, that is an ugly set. Even before this lawsuit happened, the worst possible thing that could happen to any church happened. This is something, like I said, that should happen to 90% of churches. Apostle Taylor lost his tax-exempt status for JMMI. In May of 2021, Apostle was slapped with failure to file tax returns for 3 consecutive years, and that meant no more tax-exempt status. But that ruling does not affect KOGGC. They are still able to be tax-exempt. And Apostle is still on his website selling his t-shirts and his books and DVDs. Do people still buy DVDs? And all of this merchandise, plus all of the money that he brings in through the church, he doesn't pay any taxes on that through KOGGC. Then, as if all of this weren't enough, Apostle Taylor starts claiming that he can time travel. He claims that he has what he calls supernatural marvels and that he can go through dimensions to affect the future. And I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted at this point. I found this image especially sad, and I don't know, I'll be honest, offensive as hell. It's David all glowy and whited out, and it has a scripture from Luke that talks about being white and glistening, and very rightfully so. A lot of black church members were put off by this image of David, that he put himself out there as a white-faced person. You know, it just... Again, it's not my place to comment, so I'll just leave it at that. Apostle sells what he calls dream decoders for $50. He sells dream pillowcases guaranteed to make Jesus appear to you in your dreams for $25. He even sells anointed prayer cloths. He sells you a damn piece of cloth for $8. It makes me sad and it makes me angry because a lot of these people do not have $8 to spend on something like that. But they are at a place in their life, for whatever reason, where they are not able to discern a con man when they see one. And I'm angry at not only Apostle, but the people who watch this shit go on and don't do more to stop it. You know, I try to do what I can here to bring this information out and make more people aware of it, but we've all got to pitch in and help these people that are being taken by these con artists. I'm not in Michigan. I don't know any of these people. Maybe this video will reach a few family members and convince them to get more involved. Maybe they don't know. Maybe they don't know how bad it is. Maybe they're unaware that their family member is in a cult. So where does all of this stand right now? In December of 2023, the lawsuit with the prop company was supposed to go to trial, but it's been postponed and postponed. I read some Reddit threads that said some people believe David E. Taylor has fled the country because he believes he's going to be arrested on tax evasion. I read other things that said that's not true. I tend to believe it's not true. I don't think he's left the country because that trailer, that super action thriller Jesus Christ superstar movie thing that I showed you at the beginning of the episode, that's new. That was only posted 4 days ago. So that event that it's advertising for is supposed to happen this July. I doubt Apostle would be advertising for events if he'd left the country. But you know, the man is a proven liar. You know the reasons I do these cult episodes. Let's be honest, they're entertaining as hell. And we like to laugh at the ridiculous. Let's just tell the truth about that. But there is a much, much bigger purpose. The entire reason I am still churning these videos out 4 years later, much to the chagrin of my loved ones and this platform that hates my content, I will keep talking about these things because I feel like it's the conversation that matters most. No one is saying let's shut down the churches and take away people's right to choose to join them. But we are saying let's talk about the systemic problems inside these churches so we can work with the faithful to find answers to those problems. Let's have a conversation about what these churches can do to provide education for their followers without hurting people. And let's most definitely have a conversation about shutting down con men and churches who have millions and billions of dollars in the bank. Because let's be honest about something else, that is not what a church is supposed to be about. Thank you for joining me today on Dark Hearts with Stacey Lee. Please hit the like button if you liked the video and subscribe if you want to see more from me. You can also join my Patreon. If you want to give a few dollars a month there, it helps keep the videos coming. And we're also doing a big fundraiser. This is the thumbnail for the video on my channel that will give you all the details about the fundraiser. We are raising money to donate to police departments that have cold case DNA in storage that has never been tested. We're only about 30% of our goal to the first kit, so we need to keep those donations coming in. We're going to raise the money. We're going to vote on the case we want to have the kit tested on. We're going to get that DNA sample tested, and hopefully we solve the crime. The worst thing that happens is we get the perpetrator's DNA in the system forever. And if they're linked to other crimes, we might help with those too. I sure appreciate you watching, especially on these days when I'm just a little too riled up. I get very passionate about victims, and that's why I do what I do. So I appreciate you staying with me through my passion moments. Let's just call them that, passionate moments. Stay safe, my friends, and be kind to each other. And I will see you next time on Dark Hearts with Stacey Lee. Bye.